Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Kevin Nealon. Our top story tonight, it appears congratulations are in order. We are monitoring things closely as details continue to come in, but it seems, yes, I have confirmation. We're talking about you, Joseph. Congratulations. You really outdid yourself this time, which probably wasn't that hard. Our team has discovered footage from one of the many celebrations taking place in your honor. Stay away from drugs, kids. Now for some deeper analysis, let's go live via satellite to our special guest commentator, Other Kevin. Other Kevin, what are your thoughts on all this? Speechless, Kevin. Wow. Just wow. Insightful as always. Thank you. Well, I'm now being told that we are out of time and that I should pull this lever. I'm Kevin Nealon. Thanks for watching. Take care, Jimmy. Thanks, Bob.
Joseph Jaffe is not famous. I'm famous. Joseph Jaffe is a delusional human being who thinks he's famous. He's not famous. He's not famous. I'm famous.
There was one guy I was dealing with getting a little bit pissy over the kid interrupting the call thing, and I'm like, appreciate.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, please. Yeah.
My bad. Please continue. It's very alliterative.
They are going to be the ones powering the experiences that every customer has.
Preference has power. I'm pretty sure Cato would say to me when I do every show, stop.
I think he would.
Those pieces are popping. Wait till you get the invoice.
Here. I have a question. When's the last time you danced? When's the last time you laughed?
Right now. I don't want to dance with you.
When's the last time you flew a kite?
Toasted Oreo.
Look at you. You are insane.
How did I do that?
You're insane. You're insane.
Well, if it isn't you, welcome back. It is. Well, it isn't. Or is it Monday, January 24th, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time? Well, for you it is, but for me, it's 8:03 p.m. Sunday evening. This show is being pre-recorded. It's not something that I naturally want to do, but in terms of practicality, I will be teaching tomorrow, or today, I should say. I'm going to get very confused as you are watching the show. And so my guest tonight, the very famous Fred Joyal, rhymes with royal. I'm going to keep saying that in the little pea brain until I eventually don't have to say rhymes with royal anymore. But he is practically royalty because of his fame and his fortune. And we're going to talk about this idea of being bold, being brave, being bold. In fact, even when I said, how should I introduce you? He said, just Fred Joyal. I said, okay, Fred Joyal. His incredible thoughts will speak for themselves. But why am I even telling you about the fact that I'm not live right now? Well, I actually am live right now, but live for you. For example, Emmanuel said, I'm going to miss it. It's 2 a.m. in my country when it goes live, but he will be watching tomorrow. It's simply because the whole idea is to reinvent the talk show. That's why on Fridays we have NFT Fridays, where we get to meet Daniel Botha, or maybe Americans would say Botha, but he is from South Africa like I am. He's also known as Hashlibs, and we're going to find out about his amazing product, SABC, the Sketchy Ape Book Club. So he'll be on the show. I feel like, why wouldn't a talk show be able to profile the next generation of creatives and creators? Another thing about the show, we are now on the Marketing Podcast Network. So Theater of the Mind, you can actually listen to the show. You don't have to watch my ugly mug the face for radio. I know I mention that joke every single time. And damn it, I will keep mentioning that joke until eventually you look at this face and you say, that is a face, my friends, for streaming video. So just go and search for Joseph Jaffe is Not Famous, wherever podcasts are found, and you'll get an opportunity to listen to the show when you are commuting, when you're on the treadmill, when you're walking the dog, etc. Another thing, and this is the main reason why I'm letting you on my little secret, is that I want to continue to be able to find ways to recognize and reward community. Viewers are not passive. Viewers are active. You as a viewer are as much a part of the show as I am. If you take me away, well, there's no show. But if I take you away, there is no show either. And so if you subscribe to the show on YouTube, all you got to do is go to bit.ly/subscribe to the show. If you join my Discord, my Not Famous Discord at bit.ly/not famous Discord, and then if you're able to go to the Discord, go to the giveaway channel, indicate or put your YouTube subscriber name, I'm going to continue to figure out ways to give you something, give you a part of me. In this case, giving away an NFT of the Giraffe Tower, my friend Gary Henderson's project. And we will be giving away this giraffe this week, not today, but this week on the show. And again, all you have to do is to be able to go and indicate your subscriber name in the Discord channel. Another thing that you know, if you are a regular, is that what I'm trying to do as well is to give you some of my Jaffe coin. For those of you that are new to the show, I have my own cryptocurrency, my own creator coin called the Jaffe coin. And all you have to do, you see that QR code, you'll find a link in the giveaway section. You will also be able to put your phone on that QR code right now, but the code is only live from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. and you'll get some free Jaffe coin. So remember, subscribe to the show, join the Discord, and then be able to get in on the Jaffe ecosystem, the Jaffe economy. And every single show, I will be giving away some of my cryptocurrency that will allow you, not financial advice, do your own damn research, but hopefully to buy that Matchbox Lamborghini that you have always, always dreamt of. So enough of the drivel, and let's get on with the show with today's seated soliloquy, which is, of course, very much connected to my guest, and it is called Bold. Now, as I said to Fred, in the green room with 319 odd guests, no one has really come in with the idea of owning the word bold. So kudos to Fred. We've heard so many different versions of what it is to be, I don't know, an extrovert, to be a risk taker. But what is this idea of being bold? Is it in fact being brave? Is being brave being bold? Is taking risks being bold? Or is it something else? To boldly go where no talk show host has ever gone before. Jean-Luc Picard, is he brave? Or is he an explorer? Is he an adventurer? Is that what being bold is about? As we will discuss today, maybe it's about decisiveness. Maybe it's about gut. Maybe it's about intuition. Maybe it's about being able to believe in yourself. And so we will certainly talk as well about this idea of confidence. How can we be confident? How can we dial into our self-belief, our self-awareness, our self-love, to trust our convictions and to be able to execute on our ideas, on our hopes, on our dreams? Am I being bold right now by giving you a 3-minute soliloquy? Here's the egg timer, without a script, without notes, just being able to talk off the cuff, knowing that I have 3 minutes to fill. And fill it I will, not to shortchange you by ending up with sand in the timer, but also not going so far over that the soliloquy, the monologue, becomes the droning, monotonous tone of a host. Remember, this host without his guest, this host without the audience, is just a lunatic, a maniac, someone who talks to themselves, who responds to themselves, who listens, who laughs at their own jokes. I think that would make them a little bit crazy. And the only craziness I have is crazy passion for the show, for conversation. So be bold, be brave, take risks. But ultimately, I don't see risk associated with this. I just see warmth. I see something that just makes me feel good, because who doesn't want to be bold? Who doesn't want to be able to make every decision and never ever second guess themselves? Or if the decision is one that doesn't quite work out, has the ability to move forward. I think it was Winston Churchill who once said, the definition of optimism is to go from one failure to another without the loss of enthusiasm. And certainly I make a lot of mistakes. There's a lot of failure, but the hope, the positivity and the optimism, it never wanes. It never wanes. And with that, our soliloquy is over. Now it's time to bring my very special guest onto the show. Fred Joyal is a speaker, best-selling author, executive coach, and entrepreneur. He's one of the co-founders of 1-800-DENTIST. So certainly he is famous. And his latest book, Superbold, teaches a systematic way for anyone to radically increase their boldness and confidence in just 90 days or your money back. Let's welcome him to the show. Fred, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Thank you for making a money-back guarantee. That was a bold move that I'm going to have to invoice you for.
I thought you would mention that. I thought you would mention that. Okay, so I love the concept of a money-back guarantee in general, and I just wonder actually why more people don't do that. Often, if you believe in your product, in your service, in your offering so much, why wouldn't everyone just offer? I mean, I would offer people that watch this a money back guarantee, especially for the fact that they're not paying for the product.
Yeah, I think the price is an issue. There's a lot of people that do a money back guarantee because they know that the number of people that will actually go to the trouble of executing it and jumping through the various hoops they put in place is so nominal that they do a money back guarantee. It's kind of a scammy thing to do for the most part. That's not why I don't do it. It's a book. I would have to go to their house and get the book back, or I would have to get my advice back. I would have to get them to forget my coaching advice, which is also very hard to do. So I'm staying away from the guarantee portion of the program. But I did enjoy you walking that bold soliloquy tightrope of trying to go for 3 minutes unprepared. It was impressive.
Well, I'll tell you, it's very interesting because, as the old saying goes, right, necessity is the mother of invention. What actually happened the very first time is that I had been writing, and I'm a guy, when I deliver a keynote speech, I never have notes. I often start off by saying, I have no idea what the hell's going to come out of my mouth. And about 50% of that is true, 50% of the time, which makes it 25% or something like that. And so, when I stand up, when I talk, when I basically say, I have no idea what is going to come out of my mouth, it is, there's a little bit of an interesting, cheating going on, because I kind of do know exactly what's going to come out of my mouth. And so I was thinking about this idea. Let's bring it back for a second to this idea of a money back guarantee. If you are so sure of yourself, if you are so sure of what that product looks like, then why wouldn't you just move forward with it? So here's what happened to me. I ran out of time to write the soliloquy about a week and a half ago. And so I just did it this way. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I love this. Let me continue doing it this way. And the first day, I actually wrote a few little notes as kind of my cheat codes. Now I think I'm not even going to think about it other than just the name. And so it's funny how out of adversity or a challenge came what I think now is something that makes me more excited about the show, because it's taken the level of challenge or the level of difficulty just up a notch, and it makes me be better and want to be better. So I don't know if that's bold or if that's maybe just being pragmatic and then just going with it.
It is bold because when you refine your boldness to a point where you are moving confidently into creativity, you start to trust that something will come. And the more that it does, the more you build these neural pathways where your default mode is to just boldly try things and see what happens and know that you're going to roll with it no matter how it goes. So it's very much actually what I teach in boldness is this ability to, you can be prepared, but then you're going to be spontaneous. That's a giant leap upward, but you can do it. You can develop the skill to do that. And we have these phenomenal brains with all sorts of stuff going on in our subconscious that if you're relaxed enough will come out in a semi-coherent way. And you were definitely semi-coherent most of that
Yeah, thank
soliloquy.
you. Thank you. The
Yeah.
emphasis on the word semi and not
Yeah.
coherent. But you said a lot of things. You spoke about this idea of relaxing. You also spoke about the idea of trusting yourself. And I would imagine always the first time anyone tries anything, the level of anxiety or probably the level of relaxation will probably be the lowest. But I would imagine it's an exponential change that happens. The second time, the third time, the fourth time, where that level of relaxation almost takes over. And as I've often even said to my kids, the most amazing thing about watching an athlete, particularly someone who is at the top of their game, even today, Tom Brady, who almost led his Bucks to the impossible, the improbable, which was a comeback against the Rams, only to lose. But that in that moment, in that pivotal moment, that they are so super relaxed. It's the only way to operate at that level.
Well, and you do see that in professional athletes. I can remember watching the Lakers when Kobe was playing, and when they would be in the finals, they would be at their best. They would be good in the season, but they would never be great. But the pressure of the finals would make them better. And the other team would crumble because they hadn't been to the finals that often. But Kobe and Shaq, for example, had been there so many times that they fed off it. When there's a point where anxiety flips into energy and you are energized and excited rather than anxious and nervous, and that it's a very powerful shift, but you can get there. You can develop that over time, but you develop it by sucking. Right? You develop it by not being good, by just walking the plank and going out there and hoping that there's water in the pool when you jump. And so you can develop this if you develop it gradually. That's a lot of how I teach boldness, is you're moving yourself up incrementally. You're expanding your comfort zone by inching your way into your discomfort zone to get stronger and stronger and stronger. But you're also creating neural pathways that is going to make your default mode boldness rather than hesitant, which is a giant shift. And it can happen fairly quickly if you work your way up. So that's how I teach it.
I love this idea that there is a point at which anxiety flips into energy. Is that point known? Is it an obvious point? Is there a physical or even a metaphysical type of feeling or reaction Can people identify that exact moment, or is that itself something that they get much better at being able to recognize as they develop this superpower, as it were?
The point that I've seen it happen, and I saw it happen for myself, but I see it happen for a lot of people, is when they get enough experience doing something, like let's use public speaking as an example, and then something goes wrong. It could be that the projector fails and they no longer have any slides, or the mic fails, or their flies down, any number of those things. And instead of crumbling in that moment, they rise and they get engaged with the audience, and they don't apologize for anything. They roll with it, and they get funny, or they get entertaining in some way, or they take it and they turn it into a lesson relative to the content that they're putting out there. And when that happens to them, it's a shift, because they say, wow, nothing bad happens unless I decide to label it as bad. And that's a boldness mindset. When you never label anything as bad, because that's what bold people do. That whatever's going to happen is good, is as a step up, is meant to happen. They don't even care about the outcome a lot of times. They're just diving in to create an experience, or to have an experience, and whatever comes, they're going to roll with. And so I've seen that happen. But there's a point, you'll feel it again back in public speaking, where you'll go from, and you've probably experienced this, where instead of being nervous about getting on stage, you can't wait to get on stage. And because a lot of people go like, you have to be crazy not to be anxious about going on stage. And I said, well, you have to be crazy not to be anxious initially, but eventually you'd have to be crazy to hang on to that anxiety after you've done 100 stage presence situations where you've walked on a stage and performed and spoke and delivered. And it's always going to be different than you intended to deliver it, but you're not anxious about it anymore. You're backstage going, give me that mic, get me out there. And that's a big shift. And once you know it, everything changes in your life, because I studied improv comedy as part of my preparation to be a public speaker. When you go on stage with no material deliberately and have to work with an audience suggestion to create a scene with other players, and you do it successfully, you realize, why would I be worried about a situation where I was prepared, where I had material to fall back on, and I can be spontaneous, but I also know what I'm going to say in general, and just let stuff flow, let stuff happen. And the more you do that, I've discovered, and you probably had this happen too, come up with just the best way of putting something on stage, something you've been tumbling around in your head for months maybe, or saying all different ways, and all of a sudden you say it perfectly on stage the first time, and you go, that's how to communicate that idea. And it's because of the energized state that you're in.
I feel it. I mean, I miss it now suddenly for the first time, that energy, to your point, of getting on stage. How many times, I'm sure your fellow public speakers, we talk about how we come alive on that stage, how it is a performance, how we can be sitting there checking our emails and our Twitter feed, and our name is mentioned, and we just spring up, and we're alive. We are alive. We are truly alive in that moment. And then I was thinking, this idea of improv has come up so many times on the show. Jerry Seinfeld is the most meticulous professional. Every word, every intonation, every nuance is deliberate, is prepared. It is the opposite of spontaneous. that is his method. And of course, he's, fairly well known for it and fairly successful. Does that mean he's not bold by doing the opposite of just stepping out without a plan and without a safety net?
There's almost nothing bolder than putting yourself in a situation where you have to make people laugh every 20 to 30 seconds. And he will tell you that no matter how polished his material is, sometimes a joke will die an unholy death with a specific audience.
Right.
And you see this happen with I've seen guys who I know their material's fantastic, and I've watched them go out, and the audience, it's like they're wearing T-shirts that say, "I don't get it." They're completely unresponsive, and the comic, she'll burn through 30 minutes of material in 15 because she can't get a response out of them. Now, what Jerry does is he has an idea for a joke. Right now, he has a book that he's written, and the title of the book is This Anything?
Right.
Which is, it always starts with an idea. He'll workshop it on stage and shape it, but that won't become part of his act until he's shaped it in a small crowd. Chris Rock does the same thing. He'll go in at 1 a.m. He'll walk onto a stage in a small comedy club, and he'll try out 20, 30 bits, and some of them will just suck, and some of them will develop gradually as he talks about them. I actually watched Richard Pryor do this after he had set himself on fire, and I watched him go to the Comedy Store every night and build his HBO special basically on stage, because he knew what he was wanting to talk about, but he used the tension, the energy, the spontaneity, and the audience feedback loop to create and expand the bit and add to it and turn it into what was going to be 90 minutes of incredible comedy.
And I think that was an incredible response. What I was thinking of, the method and madness, the boldness is being the comedian, is being on stage, is being able to, as you say, surprise, delight, enthrall, over-deliver. But the plan, the process, and everyone has their own process, that is not the bold part of it at all. That's just part of the methodology. And that's and you're right, that's what he's doing. I suppose that's what I'm doing as well, which is refining my craft and trying to be a better talk show host. The only thing that can be true is that tomorrow's show will be better than yesterday's. And it is that ability to just keep picking up one speech at a time, one show at a time, one podcast interview for you at a time, where you're able to go back and reflect on what worked, what didn't, and how you can keep on just evolving. So there's an evolution of sorts, and it's something, one of your quotes, which I just absolutely love. I think it's just very, very profound. You said, "What you do every day aggregates, what you don't deteriorates." And I would love to hear what you mean by that before I give you my ignorant interpretation of or reaction.
No, I'm sure you've zeroed in on it just by the fact that it's an appealing thought. Most of us are chasing dreams. Their dreams don't die because they were too difficult or too challenging. They die because we didn't get to them every day. We thought we had more time, or we thought we would get to them when we felt like it. Like when, I'm not at my peak energy today. The people who are great writers, great performers, great business people, they go in every day, no matter how crappy they feel or foggy they feel, and they push through. They create, they do something every day. And what happens in your brain when you are doing something every day is your brain decides this is who you are. Your brain starts to define you as that way. It could be playing guitar. If you play guitar every day, even for 5 or 10 minutes, your brain says, I'm a guitar player. And it starts to program things. If you work on a novel, if you wrote 2 sentences a day, your brain would work on it the other 24 hours. The brain does, there's some research on this, and I don't know the exact number, but the brain does 20 times more work in its subconscious and unconscious than it does when we are consciously thinking about something. It's why people have great ideas in the shower and stuff like that. I actually heard Elon Musk has a whiteboard in his shower because it happens so often. But this is when you do stuff every day, when you make a commitment to act, not just talk about or think about or intend to do something, but actually do it. It aggregates, it builds. Even if you moved an inch down the field, at the end of a year, you've moved 365 inches down the field. If you don't do anything, the year's gone by, and the month goes by, and week goes by, and the year goes by, and the decade goes by, and we don't have as much willpower, we don't have as much energy, we don't have as much determination because we've stacked up the procrastination and delays and lack of gratification from lack of achievement. When I work on anything, I'm going to work on it every day. And I may not get to it till 11 o'clock at night, but I'm going to get to it because I need to feed my brain. And if I miss it, I don't lapse into total neglect. I write that day off as a loss, and the next day I'm on it. You know, the book that I wrote on it every day till it was done. I probably missed 5 days in 2 years. That's what it's about. It will deteriorate. Your life will deteriorate. Your dreams will deteriorate if you don't get to them. And the best way to get to them is every day, because then you don't have to decide whether you're going to do it or not. You're going to do it. You're not going to bed until you do it. It should be as automatic as brushing your teeth, and hopefully you're brushing your teeth every day.
Well, I am now. I wasn't. No.
Till I suggested it. Yeah. So.
Well, so we will just paint this entire canvas super bold, from underconfident to charismatic in 90 days, or Joseph will give you your money back. How about that for a bold,
excellent.
a bold addendum? But you know, again, there were some amazing thoughts there. This idea of deterioration. Is that?
There you go.
I'm pretty
sure.
Well,
you know, just that's another. I'm going to say something interesting, because one of the great things you can do on stage is mispronounce a word over and over, and then finally ask the audience and say, "Could somebody say this for me?" And there's going to be somebody who's going to yell out, "Deterioration!" They're dying to help, but what it does is it totally humanizes you on stage, because they go, "Oh, he's like us. He's flawed." And it changes that I'm the speaker with all the advice and information, and you are the lowly audience, and it suddenly brings you to their level, and the minds open up to you.
Okay, so there's a thought there about self depreciation.
Are you gonna make me do it? Deprecation.
Could you tell me what that word is? Sorry, I was just trying it. I was just trying it again.
I get to play.
Studio audience are going bananas at the moment. But self-deprecation, that's always been part of my brand. The face for radio, comment, etc. Is there a line in terms of where it actually can be harmful, or it can be detrimental if you're constantly cutting yourself down? Or, I mean, can it almost embolden your critics to do the same and
to jump in? Yeah.
I'm curious about, because self-deprecation as a way to humanize seems like a best practice, but I wonder if you could just kind of riff on that a little bit.
It's a seasoning, not a MO, if that's the best way to put it. Self-deprecation works really well. You can, like anything, you can overdo it. You can, if you fill your lecture with puns, eventually people are just going to slit their wrists, right? They won't be able to take it anymore. And so it's the same thing with self-deprecation. There are moments when it works. If you do it steadily or in excess, it loses credibility. It loses plausibility. It sounds disingenuous because they go, nobody thinks that badly of themselves that every other sentence is self-deprecating. There are moments where it's leavening this, instead of you're just a high and mighty wizard teaching this great knowledge, you come out with a little bit of, but I actually only succeeded in doing this once, right? Even though I'm telling you need to do it every day, kind of thing. And they go, oh, okay. So he stumbles, and they gravitate towards that, because if you make, like, if I say, like I was saying, everyday action, do it every day. Now, with my book, I didn't do it every day. I missed days. So I stumbled on those days, but I didn't stop. I got back up and kept going. But I don't want people to think I'm flawless, because that's BS. Right? No, we are all flawed human beings struggling on our journey to be the best we can be, and be the most kind and loving person, and chase our dreams without getting crushed along the way, emotionally or psychologically or financially.
I wrote down self-deprecation is a seasoning, not the secret ingredient. So an interesting way to find the balance, I think. But I think part of it as well comes down to going back to the word confidence, being confident in yourself, and maybe having pride or taking pride in yourself. See what I just did there?
Oh, yeah. You inserted my acronym for how to teach boldness into the visual and the word itself. But really, the word is the method in acronym, but it is also the premise is like, why wouldn't you want to live a life that you're proud of? It's not egotistical to want to create that life. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to be an exceptional parent, an exceptional leader, an exceptional friend, an exceptional spouse? That's something to be proud of. But it takes boldness to achieve those things. You have to be bold enough. Again, we talked about going on stage and not being good at it. You have to be bold enough to invite criticism, invite feedback, and say what was not good about that. And people don't like to be criticized. Praise is wonderful, but you don't learn a heck of a lot from it. You just feel better. And also, it's the opposite of learning, because a lot of times you're deluding yourself. If you do a lecture, because we're staying on this concept, and you just listen to the people who loved you, you're never going to find out who you offended, who thought you were an idiot, who didn't understand you, who thought you didn't quite communicate what you wanted to. I want to talk to those people at the end of a lecture. I want to go like, tell me what I missed. Tell me when you went, he's full of it, or I totally disagree. Tell me what you disagree with. That's what I want to know. Or what offended you? I can offend people. People have come up and told me I found that offensive, and I get out of my face, you idiot. And and they take it well. No, I don't. I want to. I go, tell me, what did I do? I really want to know. And I may or may not apologize, but I want to understand, because if they say, "Oh, well, when you said this and this and this, that offends my whatever, my religious perspective or something like that," and I may say to them, "That sounds like it's your thing." And you need to judge everybody through this bizarro lens of yours. Or I may say, that's really interesting because I have, let's say, a West Coast perspective on everything, and it could be very different from a Midwest perspective on certain things. And if I'm talking to that audience, Am I dialed into that audience? Because my goal is to communicate, not to, pontificate. Because then I don't care about the feedback. I just want to tell everybody what I think and get paid and go home. But if I care about communicating, then I want to know how they reacted, what they understood, what they didn't understand. And it takes real boldness to accept feedback. Now we wandered away from the pride method because I got on this tangent again.
I have the power to bring it back.
Look at that, it's back. Okay, so I can explain that because the way you build boldness in a way is by doing boldness exercises. And the steps to doing these boldness exercises are is a 5-step process in what I call the pride method. The first step is preparation. You're going to prepare what you're going to say. If you are coming into a situation where you are socially concerned, you don't necessarily, it's a new move for you, you're going to want to have the words that you're going to say, even if you're going to say something to somebody in the line at Starbucks, and you just want to say something in front of to somebody. You're doing a boldness exercise. I'm going to talk to a stranger. You need to prepare what you're going to say. You can't just start speaking and hope that the right thing comes out. You got to have something in your head. You're going to a compliment. You're going to say, "Wow, that's a great suit. It looks terrific on you." Or, "That beard looks great. Or, your purple hair looks amazing. I couldn't do it, but it's working for you." You're just going to prepare that. Now, the preparation does 2 things. It gives you the words to say, but it gives you the springboard to be spontaneous, because you've got something to say in the moment. It could become your fallback, and they turn and look at you, and you say, "Wow, those are fantastic sunglasses you have." And you just come up with something else completely different. So preparation is key, because what it also does is it relaxes you, which is the second step of the pride method. Is you want to be energized and relaxed at the same time. And people would always tell me when I was coming up, because I was very shy and very hesitant and growing up, and people would say, "You need to just relax." And I would say, "You need to tell me how to do that, because telling me to relax just makes me more nervous, because it makes me notice that you see me as nervous."
Oh, by the
So
way,
I'm more nervous now.
So in my household, when someone tells the other person to relax, the feedback immediately is, "Don't tell me to relax." Like, you relax.
Yeah, I'm relaxed.
Yeah, like, I'm relaxed.
I'm
damn it.
perfectly relaxed. I'm not angry either.
But I love this idea that when someone tells you to relax, to say to them, "Tell me how." Just kind of don't just throw that out like a scrap. Help me.
That's like saying be taller, right? If I could be taller, I would be taller. But except to relax yourself is actually very possible. They just don't teach people how to do it.
No, that's fantastic.
So there's just some simple steps
I'm taking
to that.
notes. I'm going to show you that I'm taking notes. Prove it.
Okay. They're fantastic.
All right. So I'm preparing to relax. PNR.
So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to check your physiology and see where you're tensing up. Because when we're not relaxed, our shoulders will come up. We may have our arms folded. We're tense all over, and we could even be stopping breathing, because this is what we do when we perceive psychological danger. The body has the same reaction as physical danger. It runs the same autonomic reaction: sweating, closing the breath off, limiting the cognitive functioning to immediate fight, flight, or freeze response. It's doing all those things that are totally not helpful in a social situation. So you could just shake your body loose. Just let the tension go in your body just by noticing it. And then the next step is really just to breathe. Your breath is an amazing relaxant. Before I go on stage, even if I'm not particularly nervous, I'm going to take 3 deep breaths because I want to hit that stage energized but completely relaxed. And you can even do a thing called the vagus breath, VAGUS, which is vibrating the vagus nerve, which runs down the center of your body. You make this sound, ha, and you hold it a long time. Take a deep breath.
I can do that.
Hold that note, and it vibrates the nerve, and you will actually feel yourself relax. By the 3rd time, you will be noticeably calmer.
I'm going to try that now. Do I have to get the pitch right or?
No, dude. No. You can go flat on it if you want. And then you breathe in again, do it again, and if you do that 3 times, you settle yourself. And it's the same thing as when somebody tells you, "What are you so nervous?" It makes you more nervous. When you realize you can relax yourself, you become more relaxed. You go, "Oh, I'm in control of my state." It goes the other way. And then most of the time, the only thing that people are anxious about are the first few moments, really. And if you can relax yourself in those first few moments, it's just like getting your first 3 or 4 lines out on stage, and you really get your feet under you, and then you're away you go on your topic. Or you get the first laugh from the audience, or whatever. That now you're off and running. So you want to control those first few moments, and you want to, and because you're relaxed, now your brain's working again. When you're in a relaxed state, your creativity and your cognitive skills are at a normal level or even at a higher level. And now you can be less socially anxious. Interestingly enough, the number 1 searched phrase for people who click on my book, social anxiety. Because that is such an issue for people. And I talk a lot about it in the book. How do you make somebody feel like the most interesting person in the room? How do you relax yourself in any situation? How do you approach anyone and have a normal human conversation? All of these are life skills.
Well, I mean, I would ask you how, but we need to leave that up to people buying the book to find out exactly how.
Something's got to make them buy the book. I can't spill all the beans ahead of time.
Bring us home on Pride.
Yes. So the I. So we've got preparation, relaxing, insight, and we talked about some of these insights. But the key insight, the thing that hangs up people more than anything else, is the reality is that people are not thinking about you anywhere near as much as you think they are. They're thinking about themselves. And
so true.
On top of that, if they have a judgment about you, is that accurate? Do they even know you? It always bugs me when people say, "Oh, people are going to laugh at me." And I say, "What people? Who are they? Do they know you? If they laugh at you, does that make you a fool because a complete stranger thinks you're a fool? Or are you still you? Or did you lose your entire identity because a handful of strangers rendered a casual opinion about you?" Bold people have a tiny list of people whose opinions really matter to them. And the rest of the people, they put in an appropriate category of, why would I worry about what they think about me is none of my business. It's one of my favorite phrases. What other people think about me is none of my business.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It's so powerful when you have that insight and you start moving through the world saying, there are people whose opinions I care about, and there's people whose opinions I'm letting myself care about, and that's ridiculous. But we want to fit in. It's very deep in our programming to fit in. Because 100,000 years ago on the African plain, if you didn't fit in, you got kicked out of the tribe and you died. So, but we don't die anymore. You can't die of embarrassment. It's not a medical diagnosis. So, but people feel like it because it doesn't feel good. But what bold people do is they say, feeling embarrassed is a choice. I don't have to feel embarrassed. And it goes back. The other insight that we talked about earlier is bold people know that 99% of the time, nothing bad happens unless you decide to label it that way. And that is incredibly empowering. Now, the next step of the Pride method is the D, is the dosage. And I talked about that a little bit too, is the exercises in the book are designed to control the intensity of the experience, the dosage of the experience as you build your boldness muscle. You're venturing into your discomfort zone. You're not leaping deep into it because you're going to traumatize yourself and you're going to retreat deeply into your comfort zone and stay there, crawl back in your shell. But what you're going to do is all of these exercises that just you realize I don't need social anxiety in this situation anymore. I don't need it here either. I don't need it here either. And then all of a sudden, your default mode is boldness, is to just act, is to speak up, is to step up. Because and part of all of this is it's great to be bold and live a bold life, but there are going to be times when it matters. You want to be at your most confident and boldest when it's really important, when you have to speak up, when you have to step up, when you have to stick up for somebody, or when you have to do a eulogy for a friend, or you're the only one that can raise the money for your business and you better be damn good at it and confident and bold enough to say, if you're not the right partner for me, I don't just want money. I want somebody who's going to add something.
I do want to say one thing as well, that maybe the B of bold, the word that I keep thinking of as I listen to you, and then we'll get to E, is the idea of balance. B for balance, that there is a balancing act. The D of dosage is about cadence. It's about self-awareness. It's about knowing when to push and when to pull back, knowing when to introspect, and knowing when to trust an opinion, and when to be able to go to your inner circle. And I feel it's a critical part of this equation, which is the ability to just understand where there's another B, where those boundaries are. Again, it goes back to self-deprecating. When is too much? When is too little? So I guess it's an art. Yeah, it is an art as much as it is a science.
And I think you have to be honest with yourself and know when you're being easy on yourself. And part of the book is also, when you do the boldness exercises, you're going to journal about the exercise. What happened? What could have happened? What would you have said instead? What would you have done instead? Or what great thing did happen? You're going to examine it, and you're going to say, oh, what I said 2 sentences to the person, and then I got nervous and I walked away, and they were still ready to engage, and I went like, oh, I've had 2 successes. I'm bailing. I'm jumping out.
I said George Costanza move, a lot of a Seinfeldian and Costanzian analogy of just making that joke. Everyone roars with laughter, and you leave the meeting. All right, yes. So bring us home with the E, and then I'm not going to be so bold as not to allow our Monday correspondent Gregarious to talk about his daily vignette or weekly vignette. So what is the E?
The E is everyday action. So if you're going to build your boldness muscle, you got to build it every day. You have to make a bold move every day. And ideally, several. Start early. And the exercises start non-verbally. The first exercise is smile at everybody you meet through the course of the day, and waiting for the person who doesn't smile back, and then not taking it personally. Take the lesson and have the insight that this could be the worst day of their life, or they could just have bad teeth.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You're deliberately aiming to fail when it doesn't matter.
And we're back to I, right? So preparation, relaxation, insight, dosage, and everyday What you do every day aggregates, what you don't deteriorates. Before we get into Gregarious, who will bring us home, it is time for me to, I always find a quote, and I could not think of a better time to bring in the quote for you, Fred. Freedom lies in being bold. It is a very simple quote uttered by a very important person, Robert Frost. But I think ultimately, when we go through this process, this pride, it is very liberating, no doubt.
Yes.
That being bold is not about conquering the world or being able to destroy your opposition or competition. It's about freedom. It's about peace. It's about being able to be at peace with oneself and not being shackled to all of these societal chains that tell us who we are, what to do, how to behave, how to act, how to conform.
Yes, and I always tell people that the worst message that we give ourselves is I'm not worthy, and then we say it all the time. Bold people always feel like they belong wherever they are, and if you could say that mantra to yourself, I belong everywhere, it's transformational. Because you are worthy. We are all human beings. We are, as I said, we're all flawed human beings. It doesn't matter if somebody's more successful or famous or better looking than you. It doesn't matter. We're all human beings, and we are all worthy of love and attention and appreciation. And
I belong on the streaming internet waves, and Gregarious.
I wouldn't go that far. Okay, but.
and I would choose at this point to realize maybe you're having the worst day of your life, but probably not. Hopefully, it's one of the better days of your life being on the show, and you're smiling, so that's good.
Yes.
Here is Gregarious. He belongs on the show on a Monday.
Okay, my friends, welcome back this week from snowy Colorado. Recording outside today because I'm about to head out on a little vacation, but. Today's little missive thing for you to think about, our first lesson in how to do better pitches, better sales, is to not use lingo. And, you may think you know your space, you may think you know your customer, but I guarantee you that in talking to them, what you are doing, if you use lingo or keywords, is likely alienating them. So instead of using lingo, unpack those words so that everybody can understand it and doesn't have to be guessing about what you're actually talking about. Sometimes we develop our own internal lingo, and that lingo is not particularly useful, or it only has a little bit of meaning for us. So the less lingo you use, the better in your pitches, unless you absolutely know that you're talking to a bunch of insiders and a bunch of people who are going to totally get it. I would avoid it at all costs. And with that, I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
And I don't think there's any lingo associated with the word bold. It is just something that's why I said it really resonated with me, because it didn't seem like a catchphrase. It just seemed like something that had so much depth and meaning, and was really just a very simple 4-letter word.
Yeah, and it's there's so much power to it in its simplicity, because a bold life is a fulfilling and satisfying life.
And a liberated one. And I feel liberated, especially with the fact that I don't have to do a live show on Monday because the show is wrapping up on a Sunday evening. Remember, everyone, earlier when I spoke about why I was so excited about getting people into the Discord, why I took so much joy in being able to have people subscribe to the show, is that as we grow the show and we grow the audience, these pre-tapings will only be available to be able to watch them live to our regulars. So it comes down to, that's not a bold move. That's just an obvious move that actually says, if you invest in your frequent, regular customer, user, viewer, watcher, guest, etc., only good things will follow. Fred, as long as you keep writing books, please keep coming back. Fred is the author of Superbold, From Underconfident to, thank God it wasn't too overconfident, to Charismatic in 90 days. You can connect with him on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Please find out more about him, executive coaching at fredjoyal.com. And of course, go and buy the book, Superbold, From Underconfident to Charismatic in 90 Days. I loved our time together. I'm going to go back and look at my notes. And someone else who's going to be looking at their notes regarding the show is Chuck Norris.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
There you go. And I will be back tomorrow, meaning Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show. And if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.